What's up, everybody? Coming to you straight out of the DBTH sound room, we're bringing you another episode of the Music Podcast Deluxe.
That's right, Muk and Dre are back, baby, and we're ready to blow your minds.
Woo!
In Season 2, we're going to keep doing what we do best, and that's talking about concerts, records, experiences, and everything in between.
Make sure you stay up to date by hitting subscribe, because we're going to have some kick-ass guests coming your way.
So stay a while and make some time for music.
So welcome, everyone.
I gotta tell you, it really does feel good to be here, recording, back at it. Season 2 of the Music Podcast Deluxe. We're here. It's been a busy summer.
It has. We've been up to a ton of shit. Most importantly, as always, music.
Yeah, we went to a lot of shows, Rockfest, Half Moon Run, Johnny was there. Mm-hmm. Anderson Paak, City and Color, we did our rounds. Picked up some new records, picked up that limited edition Madlib, the Labyrinth soundtrack, David Bowie. You picked up. What did you pick up?
Most recently I got Villains came in from my month and a half old pre-order, so that's most recently that's been it.
Funkadelic, Maggot Brain. That one I've been over and over and over and over. It's been on my table. Episode 2 is going to be a funk episode.
Hell yeah, dude. We're
going to do a little history. We're going to show the evolution, a little bit about the progression, where funk is now. Before we get to that, though.
Yeah, what about this episode? What are we doing this episode?
Before we get to that, we're doing something a little different this episode. It's the first time we're trying this. We're bringing our guest into our topic. We're doing an on tap, so we each pick 2 albums from our collections, and we're going to talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
We got Johnny here, drummer, 7 Day Sons.
Hello.
Is it your first podcast? You ever been on a podcast before?
No, this is the first one. I've done a couple of radio interviews here and there,
Yeah. This is
been in studio a few times, but this is the first time I'm doing an actual podcast. So I just want to kind of establish the rules you guys have set here.
Yeah, it's just going to be a discussion. It's going to work great because, we're already friends and we know each other, so we're basically just going to talk free form about the albums, throw out a few facts, our opinions, give people something to think about.
And you're not the first person who we've had to pop their cherry on an episode, so don't worry about it. We're pretty relaxed around here.
Cool.
Pretty much anything goes.
We've been around.
I'm looking. You have a nice choice. You got Astroglide, KY. I think it's going to be gentle.
What room are you in?
It's going to be gentle.
Yeah. We're sensitive. We're sensitive.
We care.
Yeah. So, Johnny, what have you been up to this summer, man?
This summer, as you know, with the band, been super busy, just more behind-the-scenes stuff. In and out of studio, recording covers. Also saw a lot of shows. Would have liked to see Heavy MPL, but that doesn't exist anymore. So we can probably thank, the South Shore direction for that.
But I think they're on the fence. They talk about coming back next year.
Really?
I think so, yeah. That last I heard, it was they're taking a break. That's how they were spinning it. If there's any truth to that, we'll see.
And then they're going to want to see other festivals, but stay friends with Heavy MPL.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know if the budget's just there. I think Rockfest definitely stepped their game up to accommodate.
It was fun this year.
This year was a good one.
Yeah.
It was also probably the most violent crowd I've been in a while. So
oh, you were up front, man. You spent the whole day standing in front of the fucking main stage waiting for Queens of the Stone Age, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's the hard road. We had VIP tickets.
That we were fucking ranting about for weeks.
You were the people that we hated.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We learned a pretty important, pretty significant trick at music festivals. Never be at the front facing the stage because you have up to 120,000 people pushing on you at any given time.
Oof.
So by hour 11...
I've been there, man. I've been there.
By hour 11, it's the closest you'll come to hell.
Day after, you're all fucking sore. Sometimes even night of.
Oh, yeah. But if you want to avoid that, if you're standing against the middle barricade...
Yeah.
Because they always have that path cleared.
Mm-hmm.
If you're standing against the middle, you're maybe 20 feet from the stage, center stage, without all that force.
I did the same at the drive-in. I waited till the crowd cleared the Jagger stage, and then I just went right up front against the middle rail. I was maybe 4 or 5 bodies from the front.
Yeah, that's what we did the second
Perfect.
day, because the first day we were up front. Our goal was we are not moving.
Yeah.
We just want to see Rammstein front row.
Yeah.
How was that up front? Because, I mean, we felt the heat in the back. It was fucking hot back.
I would love to know, because this is what happened.
Oh, shit.
We stayed all day, 11 hours. Everyone, front row for AFI, which was amazing to see. I'm really happy I finally got to see
They were great. There was
great.
some good acts in general.
Some great bands that day. And then during Offspring, all hell broke loose. My girlfriend's 4'10".
Yeah.
4'11" or 4'10", like somewhere there. So there was really no chance of her like staying in that crowd. So she got pushed out. My buddy and I, who have been through that before, we got overwhelmed, couldn't breathe, had to get out. It was so unpleasant in that last half hour before we left.
Dude, I've been there, man. And it's the day kind of weighs on you too. You know, it's been hours. You're not eating much. You know, you're not drinking much.
You don't want to get out of your spot. You don't want to lose anything. I mean, we did it for Eminem.
It's a marathon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Like,
what's really interesting is we've run into you now like 5 times this summer at shows, just completely randomly, and we just happen to see you in the crowd, and we're just like, "What the hell? Hey, Johnny, what's going on, man?"
It seems to me like every time I see you, we're doing something music related.
Well, yeah,
it's a weird streak to have, because I don't see why we would break it at this point. If I'm going to get together with you, we're going to listen to a record, or we're going to do something like that. I imagine.
Completely true. It's one of the only things that gets me out of the house.
Whatever works, but you're right.
What happens is, we go somewhere, we're in a crowd, I spot the hat, I go, I know that hat. That's a lot like Andre's hat. Hey, there's Muk. That looks a lot like Andre. Oh, that must be Muk and Andre. So I fight my way through the crowd and I find you guys. So it's worked so far.
No, we're gonna keep on. Why, don't
It'll keep happening.
Yeah, don't fix if it ain't broke. All right, man. Let's just get down to it. On Tap, the first album's coming up. What is it?
We're gonna do The Heavy and The Glorious Dead.
We're going to go throw that on the turntable right now, and we'll be right back.
Fucked up by putting the vinyl on and then we're getting some Chinese food, because
I'm full, but we're going to work through it. I feel a little lethargic.
I'm heavy.
Yeah.
I'm on the verge of death.
But it was good. And you know what? I think so was the album, and Johnny, I think you were introduced to some new music, so I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it was familiar. First time I hear The Heavy, but definitely familiar. It's the type of band that you hear a lot in when a show is like cutting to commercial. The last 3 minutes of like an hour-long episode.
Yeah.
Like, I think this band you mentioned was from, they had a song in Suits.
Yeah, so The Heavy in general has been featured on a bunch of stuff. They've been featured on media and video games, most commonly Entourage, Community. They were in a couple games. The trailer for Sleeping Dogs, the trailer for Splinter Cell, and 2 of the Borderlands games. So they've done their tour. Yeah.
What year did the album come out?
So the album I want to talk about, which is kind of, it was a toss-up between The House That Dirt Built or The Glorious Dead, and I kind of went for The Glorious Dead because it was the album that I kind of got into first. It came to me first on Spotify one day, and I was like, oh shit, this is amazing. So The Glorious Dead came out in 2012, and it's their 3rd album, and it had about 3 singles on the radio. So much like their other stuff, they all kind of split it, about 3 singles an album.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, just generally, it sounds like a more well-rounded album. The House That Dirt Built had some great songs, but just track to track, I think you made a good choice.
Yeah, and you know what's really cool is it's got this kind of funk, soul, gospel vibe, and we talked a lot about the back vocals and how a lot of their songs have some sort of orchestra, tubas, trumpets, or gospel type singing in the background, and I find it more prominent in this album, and generally both album sides appealed to me a little bit better. Like, I had a lot more pleasure flipping the album side and listening through it on this album.
They're crowd pleasers, man. You throw the album on, you can picture the crowd chanting. You know? It just gets everybody involved. It's very powerful lyrics. You know, whatever he's chanting is just, you know, it's super attractive.
I find it's the right amount of grit.
Yeah.
To it. It's like, it helps people, you know, it feels kind of dirty, but it's still relatively safe in the sense of feels kind of positive, more upbeat, and It feels exciting.
But you can still drink to it, right?
Absolutely.
That's it. It's still a dirty bar, but yeah, it's a chanting crowd too, you know?
So we're lucky, me and Olga had a chance to see them at Cabaret Mile End when it was still around and before it was renamed. And it was such a small show, and you've been to that venue before. The fucking crowd was incredible. Much better compared to when we saw them at Osheaga. So it really has that smaller show vibe, and really, you want to be up front. You want to be chanting with them. You want to partake in the music with them because they give that off, and the singer was fucking awesome. Really cool dude.
Yeah. They're from the UK, I think, right?
Yeah.
You don't pick up the accent, so he's one of those singers where it's a complete toss-up.
What's really cool about The Glorious Dead is the second LP is a full instrumental, side A and B, of the first LP.
You know, it's so funny you mentioned that, because when in preparation for the podcast, I listened to the album a few times, and there's certain parts where you can totally hear an MC coming in, like it kind of missing a rap verse. I would have loved to hear that. So it's funny you say that it comes with an instrumental second disc, which I didn't know. We should just freestyle over that, man. Why don't we do that?
I think we'll try it out. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go great.
You haven't heard us freestyle.
No, I haven't.
He's actually
I feel like
pretty
I can
good.
take a leap of faith on this one.
He's actually pretty good. Look,
Really?
I'm bad. He's actually pretty decent. Him and my buddy Alex is better on paper, but he can actually freestyle off the top of his head.
Interesting.
I'm not going to do it.
bad.
I'm not going to do it right now.
You know I'm going to ask.
Maybe later.
Okay, but like, just this season. Say that this season you will do it. Say it. On the episode 1 of season 2, say that this season you will freestyle.
Over the heavy?
I don't want to put you on the spot today because we didn't talk about it.
Over the heavy.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do it.
You know what? I think Led Zeppelin is the perfect segue after the heavy. You know why? The heavy's got that funk feel. I feel like Led Zeppelin had a track on Physical Graffiti. This is what are we dealing with here? This is their 6th album, 1975. Trampled Underfoot was kind of seen as their response to the 70s funk movement in the US.
Okay.
They wanted to have that funk track on. It was selling like crazy. People love the funk, dude.
It's an incredible track.
Yeah.
But that side, and we just listened to that side, is a fantastic side as well.
It's an incredible album. This was their 6th studio album. Can you imagine going into the studio after writing songs like Stairway to Heaven and now doing a follow-up? And not just a follow-up, it was a 2 LP follow-up. There's the fact that they used 7 songs from previous albums that didn't make the cut.
Okay.
Houses of Holy was the album right before that. I think that was 73. And the title track actually didn't make that album and is on Physical Graffiti.
So they had a lot of content at least going into this, so they didn't have to rewrite or build out 20 songs.
They still wrote 8 songs.
Fair.
It's a killer album start to finish. Even the songs that they used from previous albums, they carry their weight. Mm-hmm. Kashmir was written for this one. That ended that album side. That's why I say it's like the best album side of the record.
There's always that thing, once you leave studio, you go in all like bright-eyed and like bushy-tailed, excited about, optimistic about life. And you go through it and you see the best parts of yourself, you see the worst parts of yourself, and you're finally done. You have this project. You're going to share it with the world. And there's that scary thought where you go, I'm out of stuff. Especially after Stairway to Heaven, I know that I'm done writing because I can't do anything better.
It's just so epic.
That's it. So you leave there with that thought of, what now? I can't write. There's nothing else for me to write. This is the last thing I'll ever release. So to follow up a studio album and come in with that fear and still pump out something like Kashmir, there's just the assertion that really shows them. It kind of explains why Led Zeppelin holds that place on the pedestal that they'll always have in rock, because
how do you compete with it?
You can't really.
Every
album, they have at least that one monster track.
Mm-hmm. Let's just talk about the creativity behind Kashmir. We were saying how Bonham is playing in a 4/4 typical drum pattern, typical rock drum pattern, and then you have Page with a 6/8 over that.
Yeah,
and we were talking about how it adds like a growing tension throughout the whole song. There's an anxious feeling towards it. It's just one example of how their creativity is in many ways unmatched.
You pick that up just listening to the song, whether you're whether you're a very skilled musician or whether it's your first time hearing the song.
No, absolutely. I think the difference is a musician or a skilled musician, experienced, would be they can kind of explain what's happening, but doesn't matter who you are, how many times you listen to the song, whatever the case may be, however it communicates to you emotionally. It causes an emotional reaction in you, and you feel, physically, you kind of feel it, like you mentioned. You feel that tension. The ability to connect with people on such a deep level where just the instrumental of that track can mean a million things to a million people for a million different reasons.
Right, absolutely.
I experience that all the time. And what's cool about music and how it touches you is that it's very fluid. I was always a Led Zeppelin 4 fan, for example. I loved it, start to finish.
Well, it's fantastic,
it's epic.
fantastic album.
It is very arguably their best. But just doing this podcast and listening to Physical Graffiti over and over, I've switched over. I love this album.
So you converted.
I have fully. From start to finish, dude. Like, every song has a different something to offer. And I know Page, he uses a lot of different types of guitar sounds. From song to song, he switches it up, start to finish.
But what I was going to say is, as you mentioned, there were, 7 tracks off of this that were remnants of the last one?
That's right. Of the last few albums, not just the last album.
Okay, so I think it'd be interesting with this run for them to go in saying, we decided collectively that these songs weren't good enough to be on our previous work, but for some reason, maybe it's a contractual deadline. We got to pump something out within a year and a half. We're going to start there and write around it. I don't know. That's why this album has like those major points that I feel were the songs they wrote for it, like Kashmir.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have been them kind of starting off on the wrong foot for an album.
Okay,
personally.
Fine, but I challenge you. Houses of Holy on that album.
Fair.
It's easily top 3 songs on the album, and it was the title track that they left off the last album, not because it wasn't good enough, but because it didn't fit.
That's true. But
the especially in 70s rock and roll the album's vibe and tone mattered a lot.
That's a very good point.
So if it didn't match, to hold it off to the next album, it's not really a cheat or a shortcut, really. Because, I mean, they did write 8 songs. Some of their previous albums had 8 songs total.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So they did write fresh material, and they added the rest. It was like, it actually holds the record. It was the first album to go platinum on pre-orders.
Oh, shit.
They gave the fans exactly what they wanted, man. This was a huge, huge record.
Okay. I can see the respect built there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, I mean, I would have loved to live in that time just to see.
I feel like I did, dude. At times I feel like I belonged in the 70s, man.
To see how it was received, just because I know that Led Zeppelin got trashed by critics, got horrible,
They had a hard time. They had a hard time getting shows
review.
at the beginning of their career too.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see a band, because that seems like a real, in a sense, kind of underground movement.
They were changing the game. They were changing the game.
Yeah, but no one noticed until the game was already changed.
Yeah, I guess so.
Think, you know, like that.
Isn't it always kind of like that though?
Yeah, there's a very common thing to find the 10-year overnight success.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel like that would be one.
It does happen.
Everyone just like shat on them until they basically
Sabbath too, man. Sabbath too. It was
for sure.
It was so different, dude, as music.
Well, okay, but if we want to talk different, I think we can really bring up some different music, right? Because we have Mars Volta.
Oh, you're segueing.
That's a very good point. Now I wonder why you might bring up Mars Volta.
Is that that's one of your albums, right, Johnny? Deloused?
It's why I'm here, because it was hard to find, because I don't like ordering albums online. I like the hunt. So I'll wait 10 years to find an album.
Oh, you're patient. You're patient.
The torture.
Yeah, I was in a record store, Sonic Boom in Toronto. Personally, my favorite record store. It's not that underground, small, gritty one. It's a very big commercial space, but they care about what they're doing. It's not
knowledgeable staff.
Absolutely,
that's worth so much. Dude.
Yeah, they have like vinyl pressing in the back corner. It's my happy place.
Wait, they press there?
Yeah, well, there's a guy who, if you bring like demos or something, he'll cut it into a vinyl for you.
Oh, awesome! That's really cool.
It's really cool. And I had found City of Evil from Avenged, which I was waiting 8 years to find it, and I finally found it. So I was already really happy.
it does feel better to find it in store, man. When you're digging and it surprises you.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was so happy, and every time I would check for Deloused. Always Mars Volta. I need to see what they have.
Yeah.
Never found it. I'm paying. I'm on the phone. I look, and I see it way up on the top shelf on the wall of like a 30-foot wall. I just go, I'm gonna call you back. Hey, man. Real quick, stop the transaction because I'm not done.
I'm putting all that shit back.
Yeah. He got a ladder, he brought it down. I felt like in Jingle All the Way when he finally gets that action figure.
Like a kid, yeah.
Oh man,
I could only imagine, man.
It's, okay, I'm not going to say how much. It's the most I've ever paid for an album, but
You went over your budget, but you had to. If I saw it on the shelf, it would have taken a huge amount for me not to go for it.
I didn't think twice.
Yeah.
I would never think twice.
Yeah.
It was...
No, you came over that time. We spun it together at my place,
it was so good. And that was the first time I listened to it, too. I was waiting. I was saving it.
No, but...
So happy to find it. So, while we bring up weird music, I have brought Deloused in a Comatarium from the Mars Volta. We're going to take a listen. We're going to zone out of this planet for a little while. We're going to come back with some information.
We're going galactical, dude.
Oh, yeah.
We're out there.
We won't be the same.
Let's do it. What are we doing?
Well, we just listened to Mars Volta.
I know, I mean, like I said, we've gone galactic.
Yeah, it happened.
We are in outer space.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
The red
Oh, yeah,
There it is. There
All
it is. There it goes.
We're good.
The Mars Volta, deloused in the comatorium?
Deloused in a Comatarium, I believe.
Comatarium. I'll check that.
Could be wrong, probably wrong.
Yeah.
Usually...
Comatorium.
Comatorium.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Mars Volta, deloused in the
Can't even say the fucking word.
Deloused in... Volta Mars... Mars Volta, deloused in the Comatorium.
There we go.
2003.
We made it.
2003.
2003, which is a badass year for music.
Mm-hmm.
I was just Googling I just Googled 2003 album releases.
Okay.
It shares the stage with 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Huge record.
Jay-Z, The Black Album. AFI, Sing the Sorrow. Linkin Park, Meteora. Muse, Absolution.
Huge record.
A Perfect Circle, 13th Step. Black Eyed Peas, Elefunk. That's an especially important one.
You just remember that. Audience, just remember Black Eyed Peas, Elefunk.
Okay, but so if there's
Spoilers.
if there were so many albums, so many top albums, why this one?
Because this is one of the only albums... Okay, I have identified as a musician, not just someone who plays music. I've called myself a musician for 16 years now, and this is the first album that validated that. That really made me kind of think back at, oh yeah, this is why I'm a musician. To be able to one day walk into a studio and try to make something half as good. It's
an epic album.
It's an experience. It really is.
We were talking about this while we were listening to the record, where we were saying how it is underappreciated. It's just a beautiful work of art.
Well, maybe not. It's not. I don't think it's underappreciated. I think it's one of those albums, like we mentioned, for the average radio listener, they will never hear of the Mars Volta. They'll never hear this album.
That's right.
But it has so much to offer to everybody.
Yeah, it's the kind of album where you can throw it on time after time and just experience something new from it. You know, notice, hey, look at that drum pattern right there, right before the chorus, or man, that guitar solo flows so evenly right into the verse out of the chorus. You know, the little nuances that you can pick up time after time. It feels like they're infinite.
I think it's their ability to control chaos. Some songs like Roulette Dares will be so out there, and it seems so chaotic and so hectic, like no one knows what's going on, and then they'll just stop on a dime.
No,
everyone knows where to be.
It's ridiculous to the point where you could be listening to the record and you're like, there's no way he can duplicate this live. It sounds basically free form. There's all these weird notes he's hitting, especially the guitarist, Omar. You feel like there's no way he can do it. Boom, you're there live. He's fucking doing it note for note. The punches are the same. They're fucking tight.
Not just that, they somehow extend the songs and add 3 minutes of that.
Well, like a small jam, right? They just go and have a jam on stage. Like, why not?
Yeah, but the thing is, their jam is like, 7 people on stage at the same time doing basically the exit exam at Berklee School of Music. It's all at the same time.
You're totally right. It's like a jazz. It's like a Latin jazz fusion experience. You know, live. They really they take that angle. You know?
It's one of the better examples I've seen of technical ability matched with listening to what you're playing and listening to what everyone else is playing and finding your pocket and just knowing where to be. I'm very rarely have I seen a band work together the way they do. What's interesting, I find, is, first of all, just drum-wise, because I'm always going to look at it from a drummer's perspective, it's incredible just what they do. And just to think the level of talent this group has to offer. When John Theodore, who was the drummer on this album, when he left, he was replaced by Thomas Pridgeon. Thomas Pridgeon got into Berklee at 15 years old, the youngest in history.
Crazy.
All he does is smoke weed and play drums.
Yeah.
He's ripped, and I don't think he's ever picked up a weight. He's such a monster behind the kit.
I love drummers like that, man.
It's incredible. You're getting the best in the world. You're getting
It's an all-star band, yeah.
Yeah. And he was later, his place was later taken by Dave Elich, who is probably one of the busiest session or touring drummers alive right now. He's been on almost everything.
You have to be a pro if you're going to sit with Mars Volta.
You know, most albums will have maybe one, maybe 2 real moments that make you remember it and go, oh shit, okay, this is an album I can always listen to. This one has more than I can count. Like, every time I listen to it, I pick up something new.
Totally.
It's unbelievable.
On my end, too, the highlight would be John Theodore. And I mean, that is, he plays on 2 albums that we're talking about today.
Very true.
We go into Villains. Brand new Queens of the Stone Age. Muk is bringing this one to the table.
Real quick, before we get into it,
go.
The reason John Theodore is in Queens of the Stone Age is because when Joey Castillo was leaving Queens of Stone Age, Dave Grohl, who's very close to Josh Homme, said, oh, you gotta get John Theodore. And this is Dave Grohl.
Wow, what a recommendation.
Dave Grohl is saying, you need to get this drummer. He's the best rock drummer in the world. Wow. And then he said, okay, I'll keep that in mind. And then Taylor Hawkins, the drummer for Foo Fighters, he called and said, oh, you're looking for a drummer? Get John Theodore. They didn't speak, him and Dave. They
no shit. They
instantly
he is that reputable.
You know, why wouldn't he recommend himself at that point? You know, you're Taylor Hawkins. Why would you be like, why don't you get me?
He already has a band.
I know, but at least, but Dave Grohl already had a band. He recorded on songs for the
Dave Grohl's got those guys on contract, bro. Those guys can't move right now.
And they can't.
No, they can't. They're longtime friends, dude.
So fucking
I can't wait, dude. The single there that they released, Run.
Did you hear the ones after that?
No, I haven't heard nothing. I'm making myself wait until the album's out.
I was going to show you some things.
No. I'm going to wait till the whole album's out. I don't want to get to listen.
So you got these 2 drummers, legendary rock drummers, calling him, going, don't even try calling anyone else.
You have to take
John
him.
Theodore.
You have to take him.
And it's because of albums. Wow, I almost had a stroke. It's because of albums like Deloused in the Comatorium from the Mars Volta. If you care at all about music, listen to that album for your own good.
What an endorsement, dude.
Yeah.
They're not paying him either.
Not at all.
I don't even want them to pay me. I just want... I would like them to just, just mention me on your next project. Just hey.
Thanks for going on the Music Podcast Deluxe and talking so...
Exactly. They'll be like, we were going to quit music, and now we're back because of this. That brings us to your album, Villains.
I didn't want to talk about Villains. I had a really hard time before going into this, primarily because it's so new, and secondly because I really wanted to wing this one.
Okay, hold on. You're switching albums? Is that what you're saying?
What are you talking about?
Or did you say you don't want to do Villains?
No, well, I mean, we had the discussion before. I almost wanted to do Them Crooked Vultures. Unfortunately, I felt like the fact that me winging this little portion of Villains kind of reflected the way that they handled all the pre-order jazz. So
weren't very organized.
No, so when I first got really excited about the album, I heard the new song. I was really fucking hyped up to hear what was coming from Queens of the Stone Age. Really excited to hear their new album. Saw the pre-orders come up, and I think I had like 3 different options of places to buy from. The US label, so Matador US, Matador UK, and then from the Queens of the Stone Age merch shop. After about an hour and a half of trying to figure out how the fuck to order this album, I ended up accidentally ordering it from the merch shop, and I ended up paying about $40 extra when you count the duties and the
it's hefty, man,
and the shipping. So I was pissed off.
Like I mentioned, that always comes from. You have to look at where they're shipping from, because the second you go international, second you go overseas, you fall into a different bracket. It's a minimum. You're going to get extra charges.
The thing is, I probably would have been better off going overseas because I wouldn't have had to pay the duties from the States, which is an extra $15 on top of like the 80.
You know what it is? I don't think the cost would have mattered to you so much if you had gotten the fucking album on time.
Yeah, I got it like a week and a half late.
Okay, look, we're bitching about distribution, but you have to admit the advertising behind this album is like...
The marketing behind
I haven't seen this in a long time. I can't remember an album being promoted this way. Even just the artwork and everything is it's so vibrant. You can't forget it once you see it. You'll never forget that album cover.
It's funny you mentioned that because a good friend of mine, we've been sitting, twiddling our thumbs, waiting for this album.
Yeah.
And we said that exact same thing. We said, dude, the marketing behind this album it's like nothing I've seen. I haven't seen anything build that much. It was mystery, but not in an annoying way. Not in that Marilyn Manson, maybe you'll get an album this year until you don't. There was nothing, and it seemed like, okay, I guess they're being quiet. And then,
boom.
One of the best planned releases I've seen in a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
And all the content that they were releasing was so mysterious that you're trying to listen to snippets of stuff that they're posting to try to see if it's a song or maybe a song backwards or what's hidden behind the static. So I gotta give them credit.
I'll give them credit for that. And also, I think it was a good move. I feel like what they're trying to do is put a real face on Queens of the Stone Age. And they're kind of bringing Josh Homme up on a pedestal as like the rock star of the band. And his personality is coming through on this record more than ever, I feel like.
You know what? Interestingly enough, I find especially on like the art releases and a lot of the short videos, I kind of found the opposite in the sense of they're really shining a light on the rest of the band. Like
the band's there.
Individually has their characters. They really showed a lot of John Theodore. They showed a lot of Troy Van Leeuwen. Mm-hmm. Like they really showed a light, but I think it's that this album is such a personal one for Josh Homme. I mean, so was Like Clockwork. Very deep for him, but this one he even admitted to taking chances on. It was one where, like, it's funny actually. There's a story where Mark Ronson produced it. Dave Grohl, just to show the state that Josh Homme got in studio, like you can get, especially you're an artistic person, you could get to that dark place, and it seems like nobody's your friend, especially if you're as vulnerable as you'll be trying to get something that's not coming together.
Sure.
So he was having one of those where it was rough. Dave Grohl shows up at Pink Duck Studios, and he's drunk, and he's having fun, and Dave Grohl's a friendly guy.
Yeah.
So he comes in, hey, whatever. And Mark Ronson sees him, knows that Josh is in the booth, kicks Dave Grohl out.
I heard about this.
Not now. You gotta leave. Sorry.
But it's
Dave Grohl.
It's stories like that. Maybe I'm biased just because of my Facebook feed, but I heard a lot of Josh Homme stories as the album was coming out, and shortly after it came out, there was a lot of articles written on him, what he thought about this, or what he said about that, or there was a video of him as like a teaser for the album, or their music video, rather. So there was that part, plus just the beautiful artwork and how they released the album, and the fact that they went with Mark Ronson for production. I think he did a good job on the album.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice, but on a business side, on a marketing side, having Mark Ronson as the producer just gets them mentioned in much more mainstream media.
Well, you know how they got him? Josh Homme co-produced Lady Gaga's last album with
That's
him.
what I heard, Joanne.
Yeah. Which really surprised me, because you don't expect that from Josh Homme.
I didn't like the album that much either.
No, it had, you know what? It hurts me to mention, but fuck it. There's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. You like it or you don't. I Shazammed 2 songs that happened to be off that album.
Okay.
Every time I saw them, I went, fuck. It's one of those things. Yes, I'm a Lady Gaga fan.
And you're like, I should have known this before I even fucking Shazammed it, you know?
You're playing with fire.
Yeah. Look,
now you're this guy.
Yeah.
All things aside, Villains is fucking solid.
It really is.
I wouldn't call it my favorite. I don't think I can call it my favorite.
Okay, maybe not favorite, but between, with this and Like Clockwork, I can very comfortably say this is the strongest version of Queens of the Stone Age we've ever gotten. You don't find? There's not that angst, but they really found it.
I understand. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, let me... I come from loving Lullabies to Paralyze, right? Yeah. That is one of my top albums, short of Songs for the Deaf. Songs for the Deaf, I'm going to put it up top. You're not going to touch it. Don't even argue with me.
Fair.
It's up there. I bought a bootleg because I needed it in my collection. I'm not even getting into the debate.
You got to sell a kidney to get an original.
That's it. I can't compare Villains to Songs for the Deaf. I can put them in terms of work up close, but I can't say it tops some of the other stuff because I like their original style. I like the messiness. I don't like the pop mainstream, but I still like the album, if that makes sense.
No, I understand why they did it, and I think it's a great record, but it's not. Yeah, it can't be my favorite. It can't. I'm so biased in this way. Me even saying that means very little about the album, you know what I mean? Because I hold Songs for the Deaf on such a pedestal. I would say, comfortably, it's one of my top 10 albums ever. By anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think...
So,
for that list, you have to have an album that really just goes past just being a good album. It has to bring something out of you. It has to show you a side of yourself.
Exactly.
Bring out either, if it's the angst,
yeah,
has to get you to say, fuck this, I want to smash something. If an album can do that, if it could move you and change your mood, it has something special. If it could calm you down, same thing. Make you cry, make you laugh, whatever the case.
That's it.
Well, look,
it's one of those.
The first 45 seconds of Songs for the Deaf, after the first 45 seconds go by, you are at 150%. You should be doing a line of cocaine. That's the vibe that song
100%.
Sets you up for throughout the album.
Yeah. 100%.
Totally good. Talking about Villains, I would just, we got to talk about...
Yeah, I have to.
Fuck, they're so good that it goes around the map. But Villains, I can say, I had high expectations, high hopes. I feel like personally it met up to every one of those. I noticed a lot of heavy, I want to say Bowie influence, especially with a song like Unreborn Again. That's
Bowie influence.
That is Bowie song.
I didn't think of it, but now that you mention it, I can totally see it.
Unreborn Again comes right off Ziggy Stardust in the best way possible.
I can see that.
What I think that comes from is before this album, they worked with Iggy Pop,
right?
Post-pop depression. Iggy Pop was a Bowie prodigy. Bowie built Iggy Pop. That thought process, that influence, had to transcend.
Actually, now that you mentioned, there's the Eagles of death metal.
Yeah, the whole
that dancey rock, that boogie vibe. There you go.
But I feel like I hear a lot of Bowie in this album. They're experimenting with stuff. They bring in a saxophone at the end of Unreborn Again. And he's going low, which he normally didn't. Usually when Queens of Stone Age would go low, they'd have Mark Lanigan singing those parts. Yep. Mm-hmm. But Homme really embraced that weirdness.
They really went different all around. Like we already mentioned, Mark Ronson, out of left field producer. You never expect that to happen. The songs have been changed up. It's very up tempo for a Queens of the Stone Age record. I feel like you were talking about Josh Homme, that this was a very personal album. I don't think just functionally, I don't think I've ever heard his lyrics this clear on a record. You can actually hear almost every word. His message gets across effectively.
Well, look, that's perfect example of that. A song like Fortress, everyone is kind of freaking out over the fact that it's such a deep and meaningful, powerful lyric song.
But that's just typical of Homme.
Look at a song like I Never Came. I'm blanking now, but they've had
Clockwork had a lot of deep lyrics.
Absolutely. He started writing the album from a hospital bed.
There you go.
A lot of what he's written in the past has really, if you dissect it down to what he's actually saying, it's fucking dark.
Oh yeah.
a lot of people don't realize it, and they think that like No One Knows or something is this pop hit on the radio, and it's fantastic. But dissect the lyrics a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of dirty sex.
There's a lot of fucked up sexual activity.
But what I love about Hami's approach is that it's really, it can get really dark, but he still makes it like whimsical. Like he has fun with it. Like
I call it a shtick. You know, like it's the Hami shtick.
A lyric I love in there's two lyrics that I love in this album that really jumped out right away. The first one is in Feet Don't Fail Me Now, the opening track, where he says, "Life is hard, that's why no one survives. I'm much older than I thought I'd be." Mm-hmm. It's just that, like, so cool. Having fun with your own mortality, saying, like, I shouldn't be here. Yeah,
but somehow we've done some fucked up shit.
I keep going, so might as well continue. Yeah. Like, fuck it, we're all on autopilot anyway.
It's a YOLO statement.
Yeah. Exactly. And in Unreborn Again, just the whole... It's a direct kind of satire to everyone trying to stay young, everyone trying to latch onto their youth and the fear of growing old, and how now, you know, the song ends with, everyone's drowning in the fountain of youth. It's such an interesting lyric to me. I love it so much.
You can think about that one for a while, eh?
Yeah. Because that could mean so many things. You could take it at face value, or you could kind of delve in. Just, fuck, you see that guy at the club. The guy's in his 50s. He's the silver-haired fox. He's going, ha to a girl. She doesn't want to see him at all.
Yeah.
But you see that guy and you go, fuck, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's the physical representation of drowning in the fountain of youth. You become a parody of yourself.
Yeah, you can think about it like that socially, but then there's the metaphor about it too, like the fact that the fountain of youth typically would grant eternal life. That very eternal life is going to end up drowning you. Exactly. It's a beautiful image, you know, like
what you're striving for ultimately killing you.
Yeah,
that's true to anything in life.
We were talking lyrics. If we're going to talk lyrics, might as well start talking about Prime. Royce the 5'9" and DJ Premier collaborated in 2014, and they made one of my favorite hip-hop records. Royce the 5'9", of course, I have heard of him a long time ago. He's worked with Eminem back on Slim Shady LP.
Yeah, way back
Bad Meets Evil. They collaborated on the Bad Meets Evil Hell the Sequel album. And now Royce the 5'9" is doing a lot with Slaughterhouse, which is his hip-hop group, and he's done this album couple years, well, now it's 3 years ago, time flies,
Jesus.
With DJ Premier. DJ Premier's worked with all the big guys in hip-hop. He's worked fucking Big L, Biggie, Tupac. He's been around.
He's a big honcho.
When DJ Premier releases, everybody listens. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he collaborated with one of my favorite rappers, I was interested right from when I heard about the idea.
And Steve actually told us about it, right?
That's right.
Like, yo, I found this out, I just ordered it, and it's this, and we both kind of looked at each other and we were like, what? Like, there's this album out that we haven't heard of, and it's with Royce the 5'9" and DJ Premier. What are we waiting for? Like,
well, yeah, and I feel like these days a hip-hop album with actual lyrical depth kind of stands out like a sore thumb.
What makes Prime fantastic? I mean, aside from who's on it.
Old school, but not too old school beats from DJ Premier that allow Royce to just kind of have this flow where he doesn't need to stay within the bars.
Okay.
He kind of just goes from bar to bar, and like if you can color code the rhymes, you'll see like multiple rhymes at the beginning and the ends of the sentences. Sometimes he'll skip lines, and he has these weird, intricate combos of how he pronounces things and what he does on the mic. If you really want to get into it, there's a lot there. It's very smart.
Is this a classic approach to hip hop in the sense of how you would have Questlove playing that sample, the roots, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just that sample drum beat keeps it consistent.
No, it's not. It's not so much like the roots. Do you know any Madlib? There's kind of a grittier jazz element to it. What DJ Premier does on Prime is much cleaner. Okay. Like boom, slap, kind of like big bass, very punctuated timing, and he's still creative. Like there's a lot to his beats.
So it's not so much grooving in the sense of just like the beat.
It's less jazzy than something like a Tribe Called Quest.
It's in your face.
Yes.
And the lyrics are jumping over that.
Yes. Oh yeah.
We're big hip hop fans, right? I mean, well, me and you are. Maybe Johnny not so much.
I'm getting into it. I'm dipping my toe every now and then.
Hang out with us long enough. We'll break you.
He brought us a hip hop record.
That's true.
Would it be considered a hip hop? You know what? This was back when I won't reveal the name yet. build up the suspense here.
This was back when?
This was back when they were a hip-hop group.
That's right.
When the instrumentation was actually good.
Really good,
They were sampling. I'm doing a left turn throwaway here. All the way back to 2003, which is a weird sentence to say. Holy shit, time's flying.
Yeah.
Ella Funk from the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah. Nice. You're totally right to say that.
They used to be good.
Well, I wanted to say they used to be good, but I mean, Ella Funk is a good album.
A good album
they used to be much more kind of like a rapper's hip hop group.
Oh, no,
you know, like an OG kind of like they were a rap group.
When I say used to be good, I mean Ella Funk. I love Ella Funk from them. I'm saying the shit that I got a feeling. No, you don't. You don't. You have a paycheck and a mortgage. Stop trying to relate. I'm so upset with where Black Eyed Peas went. I think they should have never picked up lasers.
I totally agree. Honestly, I was...
Ever since the Super Bowl halftime show where Slash came out with a fucking disco ball top hat, I tapped out emotionally. I was like, I'm done with that.
I'm very happy I forgot about that. I don't remember it.
I'm sorry for reminding me.
I didn't even watch it, so that's okay.
So this album is back when they still had something to really offer. And to this day, I'll always say that if Black Eyed Peas tomorrow announced a tour, a run of shows, playing
like an album anniversary.
Yeah, like an album anniversary where they did Ella Funk followed by a couple of tracks from Monkey Business. And if you're a real fan, maybe some of the stuff before it.
Before Ella Funk, they were really good. Before Fergie came on board?
That show, though, that tour would sell out in half the time a new tour would from them.
There was 4 monster singles on that album. It basically took over that whole 2003 to 2004 year.
Absolutely.
Every party you were at, it was Let's Get It Started, and I don't know how many fucking shots I had to that song.
First of all, Let's Get It Started, that's the Radio Nice version. It's Let's Get Retarded, where listening back, like, hey man...
I know.
For sure, relax.
I know.
It's easily the most offensive in the best way possible. It's so funny to listen to now. But just thinking of trying to get that song on the radio today, I would love to watch that meeting. I would love to watch people pitch that to a radio tracker.
So we've got a song about us getting really fucked up. I want you to put this on the radio.
But even aside from that, there are lyrics like, let's get ignorant, which means very stupid.
Yeah.
Let's get hectic. Let's get retarded. Pop your head like epilepsy. Like
I know the PC police must have been all over that. Because eventually the radio edit was "Let's Get It Started."
Yeah, they no holds barred. Let's just offend every demographic.
Well, if you're gonna do it, you just offend everybody at once, and then that's it. You're done with it.
I love it because it's one of those things that if you're gonna be outrageous, it's all about commitment. You really have to commit to what you're doing.
Yeah,
they did on this song and this album in full, and it's just so good. If you're driving on a road trip and you put this album on, every single person in your car is gonna love it.
It's a feel-good album, and I always knew the singles. Everybody knows the singles, but I listened to the album start to finish. It's actually really good. What I thought was filler tracks, they actually came out. Yeah,
good stuff, man.
It's good songwriting, man.
There's some good
stuff. Some funky shit, man. There's some really good rapping.
They have that song. I think it's "Holiday," which it's in the instrumental. It's all samples from. It's a song from the JBs, which is also pretty much all of Public Enemy's first album was
samples from
built off of samples from this one song, and they basically rapped over that song.
Cool,
and it's incredible. It's just it's so awesome.
Yeah,
it just feels so good.
No, yeah, it's a feel good.
And then at the end of this, they have "Where's the Love," and then after "Where's the Love," they have a song. They have "Anxiety," which is a song with Jacoby Shaddix from Papa Roach singing about wanting to kill yourself. Like,
wow. I hadn't paid too much attention to the lyrics, but that's crazy.
The moods on this album are unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. And you know what? Like I said, this is another personality test. Put on Ella Funk, any track from it, and whoever's not moving their head around you, cut that person out of your life, because they're not offering you anything.
I think you'll have a much bigger success with Ella Funk than the Mars Volta, man.
Well, yeah, Mars Volta's marriage material, but Ella Funk is whether or not I can look at you.
I think it's pretty interesting that most of the albums we talked about today, I would feel confident throwing on on vinyl and just being like, hey, listen to this. I bet you're going to like it. And even if someone has never heard the albums before that we talked about today, I think they would stop and be like, shit, this isn't bad at all. Even if they didn't like that genre of music.
Absolutely.
So I think that all of our on taps are really on theme in terms of.
I would personally recommend even any one of your choices.
Yeah,
I do. I like all the albums we spoke about,
and I think it was a hard choice trying to come to terms with what we were going to talk about today, because there's so many other albums that we're going to cover in the future that could make the list.
In a minute, we're going to play for you a 7 Day Sun song. I Say, the new single. They got a video out. Go check it out. It's hilarious. If you want to see Johnny get all beat up and look a nerd, that's where you got to go.
The band's good, but their drummer's a douchebag. I hate the guy.
Johnny, you want to tell them where they can find any info about 7 Day Suns? You want to let them know what any upcoming...
Well, all right. Well, for those who are listening, I am from a band called 7 Day Suns. We're based out of Montreal. If you're into bands, the likes of Kings of Leon, City and Color, we kind of have influences from all over the place. STP, you name it.
I think I can see every one of those acts. I can see.
There's a lot of different things coming together there, but we do have this new song, I Say, which we had a lot of fun filming the video for. We recorded it with Brian Moncarts. He's currently working with Our Lady Peace.
Looks great, man.
Yeah, he killed it. It was a really fun experience. We had our buddy Jeff. He's touring with The Trues when they were recently opening up for Offspring. He came in and led some keys down, which if ever you feel like you're a competent musician, bring in a real session player and you'll just go home and practice. 'Cause it was a mind-blowing experience just to see this guy work. But it was a lot of fun doing. You could find us at Facebook /7 Day Suns, 7 Day Suns on Twitter, Instagram.
I listened to your album, your EP on Spotify as well.
There you go. We're available. We can be found on all social media outlets, all online music distribution outlets, Apple Music, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. Take your pick, choose your poison, and you can find us there. That's 7 Day Suns. And this is our single, I Say. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, and if you do enjoy it, we're going to be releasing a series of covers filmed live in studio. We're still ironing out the details as to which ones, but we always choose ones that we think people are going to resonate with and have a lot of fun listening to.
I love the last sessions you did.
Yeah, last ones we chose Macy Gray, I Try, and Everybody Wants to Rule the World from Tears for Fears. And it was a lot of fun.
One of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun messing around with those and hopefully not butchering them too much.
No, it sounded great, man. Honestly,
Thank you, man.
even the video production too is super entertaining to watch.
Johnny, dude, thanks a lot for coming to the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
It was a lot of fun. It was, and we got to hear some great fucking music.
It went smooth, man. First time we tried this kind of thing, I think this is kind of a winning formula. We're going to see.
It feels good to be back. It feels good to be back listening to some records, talking about the shit we love, playing music, everything. So if you guys want to check us out on Facebook, you can find us at the DBTH Guys, or you can shoot us an email at the dbthguys@gmail.com. We also have a nice new Instagram account that Dre's been populating.
Check out DBTH Guys on Instagram. That's a good way to keep up to date, actually. I've kind of become a Instagram prostitute. I'm all over that shit, dude.
What kind of pictures are you sharing?
And I'm just vinyl, mostly. Just
I'm
vinyl.
Following you right away.
Most importantly, remember, everybody,
make some time for music. It's fucking important.